The appeal is fundamentally, it is the Doctor himself. He has seemingly all of the answers. There's something which makes Doctor Who comforting, and I think it's ultimately, obviously, the fact that this one charismatic figure, especially in the context of Patrick Troughton, there's only so much that we can be ever truly afraid of, because we know that there's a wit and there's a confidence there, a grace under pressure, which no other fictional character can make us feel as safe as the Doctor. And in this case, Patrick Troughton's second Doctor became the archetypal model for all the performers that would follow, portraying this gallant fictional hero. Because you can throw whatever weird phenomena you like at the audience, and they'll accept it, because the Doctor will be there to explain it and to classify it, categorize it within a universe even more strange than you ever realize, although he's been everywhere and he understands that it's not so weird as it is exciting and different and beautiful. Although sometimes they are dangerous, and in the case of the Great Intelligence and his android Yeti, they make for some of the most... It would be so difficult to weave that plot into any other context, but as antagonists up against the brilliant Time Lord, no one wants to view anything other than the abominable snowman. Well, that would be the case if this whole 6 episodes were available. Only this particular second episode of 6 is available, and it demonstrates what a strong piece of direction Gerard Blake had accomplished in executing the scripts of Heisman and Lincoln. I'd forgotten their names momentarily. It's such an interesting piece. I think it's one of the great champion works of Doctor Who's uncanny weird fiction, and especially in the context of it being a live action program. Watching it now, it comes across as some sort of abstracted act of expressionistic dream logic, not meant to be a documentary-esque depiction of the Doctor and his companions up against the Great Intelligence in the Himalayas, but rather, especially when the creatures are on screen, an imagining of a child's nightmare of some kind. We've always been fascinated with the idea of the abominable snowman, the Yeti, whereas it seems a bit disheartening at this point to expect a Sasquatch corpse or footprint or some other droppings to rock up in the United States at this point. It's been too long, too many people looking. That Finding Bigfoot show went for a few too many seasons, perhaps. But maybe there's a hominid in the Himalayas somewhere. We don't know. We want it to be real, essentially. But how much cooler is the idea? And I'm reiterating what I said in the last episode, I imagine, that some non-corporeal extraterrestrial entity is controlling the Yeti. They do exist, and they are his big burly android henchmen. This is simply the greatest concept of all time. One of. It becomes ever clearer that the black and white aesthetic is the only one which could have really made this concept work as well. You have to, with the black and white, it comes across as a conscious decision to animate the proceedings in a certain manner. When you to depict something in black and white now would be considered an act of, it's retro, it's nostalgia bait, it's gimmickry, it's trying to utilize a aesthetic of the past which existed for the reasons of limitations and technical parameters, essential parameters, limitations, geez. But there was only so much reason to illustrate an image, moving pictures in black and white for reasons other than limitations or some plea to nostalgia. But what was going on in hindsight, viewing 1960s Doctor Who episodes, which probably, if they could have afforded it, via the effects being effective or the costs of producing television were more abundant, well, less of an issue. One can only imagine the material in these programs working in black and white, because it now grants the series this property of being consciously unreal, or depicting these. When we think of black and white television with English accents in the 1960s, it's easy to think of flat staging, not alike when they were filming fly on the wall documentaries around this time. And when you have that environment, and then you introduce the people in the Yeti costumes running around, the documentary turns into a nightmare of a documentary, which is being invaded by these creatures from a surreal creature feature, perhaps. Let's hope that we get copyrighted before I speak anything else silly. We'll have to pause anyway, because we may get copyright struck, and I don't think the channel needs that just yet. Thanks again, everyone. Appreciate it immensely.